Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most beloved novels ever written, Pride and Prejudice. We're going to really get into the anatomy of its genius and figure out, what exactly makes it such a timeless masterpiece.
This observation from a critic back in the day, it just perfectly nails Jane Austen's magic, right? It tells us this isn't just some love story. No, it's a total masterclass in understanding people and in the art of telling their stories. So let's unpack that. We'll start with the art part.
So, first up, the magic of realism. And the key here is how Austen built this incredible world from what a critic called trivial, unforced strokes.
So here's the thing that's so incredible about Austen, her efficiency. You had other writers at the time who would just spend pages and pages describing a room, right? Or some deep feeling. But Austen, she could nail it in a single, perfect sentence. Seriously, in her work, nothing is wasted. Every tiny detail has a job to do.
Okay, get this. This is just a perfect example. A man's entire romantic future changes direction in the time it takes for someone to stir the fire. It's just this tiny, everyday action, but it reveals everything about how cold, how calculated, and, let's be honest, how completely ridiculous Mr. Collins' search for a wife is. It's comedy and a total character takedown all in one little phrase.
And here's another great one, kind of the flip side of the coin. This one isn't funny at all. It's actually deeply revealing. See, Austen doesn't just tell us that Darcy is proud and isolated. She shows us. He does this small thing, bringing his own coffee cup back, something a servant would normally do. And that tiny action just screams how separate he is from everyone else. It's a really quiet moment, but man, it speaks volumes.
All right, so this brings us to the art of character. It's all about crafting this unforgettable cast, from the witty all the way to the witless. And really, this precise use of detail is the secret to her other great talent, her understanding of humanity. Her characters, they just feel so real because they're this perfect mix of good qualities and, maybe more importantly, flaws.
And a big part of this is how Austen uses her characters as perfect foils for each other. Like, look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Mr. Bennet. His whole personality is this dry, sarcastic wit. It's really his only weapon against all the nonsense going on around him. And then you have Mr. Collins, a guy so pompous, so obsessed with formal rules. He's basically a walking cartoon of a social climber. You put them in a room together, it's an absolute masterclass in comedic tension.
And oh my gosh, his proposal to Elizabeth has to be one of the funniest scenes ever written. Look at his reasons. Love? Nope, not even on the list. It's a straight-up business proposal, like a checklist of his duties. And number 3, that's the real kicker, right? He's getting married because his patroness, his boss, told him to. This isn't just a list, you guys. It's his entire worldview, just laid bare for everyone to see.
And what's so brilliant is that these characters, they don't exist in a vacuum. The hilariously awful Mr. Collins, well, he needs the terrifyingly awful Lady Catherine to worship. It's like she's the sun and he's this little sycophantic planet just orbiting around her. And together, all these supporting characters create this whole social ecosystem that really drives the entire story. Okay, so all of this incredible world building and character work, it's all setting the stage for the main event, a battle of wits. This is where we chart the iconic conflict between Elizabeth and Darcy. And it really is one of the greatest showdowns in literary history. This slow, painful, and in the end, absolutely beautiful collision between them.
So you have to understand, their story is not love at first sight. Not even close. It's more like dislike at first sight. It all kicks off with one of the most brutal insults you can imagine. From there, it moves through all these tense, witty battles, and it all leads up to a marriage proposal that, well, it feels less like romance and more like a declaration of war.
Just listen to this. In vain have I struggled. It sounds like he's confessing to having some terrible disease, not being in love. He's literally telling her he fought his feelings, that he struggled against them, because in his mind, loving her is a catastrophic failure of his judgment. So yeah, it's passionate for sure, but it's also just breathtakingly arrogant.
And you better believe Elizabeth gives it right back to him. She completely shuts him down. And it's not just because he insulted her, but for these actions she sees as totally cruel and unjust. Honestly, this moment, this is the heart of the whole book. It is the first time anyone has ever stood up to Mr. Darcy and forced him to actually take a hard look at his own pride.
So the next day, this letter arrives. And this letter, it changes everything. Now, it doesn't magically fix things between them, of course not. But what it does is force Elizabeth to confront her own prejudice. She realizes that her judgment,
The thing she values most about herself has been completely and totally wrong. It's like the foundations of her world are shaken. And it's in that moment, for the very first time, that a real connection between them starts to seem possible.
So, let's talk about why this book endures. We've got the anatomy of a timeless masterpiece down. We've seen the incredible realism, the deeply human characters. But that brings up the big question, right? Why are we still so obsessed with this story more than 200 years later? What is it that makes it still feel so alive?
I mean, think about it. It's a story about ballroom dances, writing letters, and who's going to inherit the family estate. On the surface, it feels like it couldn't be more different from our world today. But, and this is the genius of it, all that stuff is just the backdrop. It's the setting for something way more universal.
Ultimately, the novel's real genius is in how all these different parts come together. It's not just a romance. It's like an intellectual and emotional education. Austen uses this really sharp, witty social commentary to dig into these deep psychological truths. She shows us that true love, real love, isn't about finding some perfect person. It's about two flawed people who challenge each other, and in doing so, help each other become better. And that brings us back to that iconic opening line. It really is the key to everything. Sure, it's witty, it's a little cynical, and yeah, it sets up the whole plot. But it's also a challenge. The book then spends the next several hundred pages completely tearing that truth apart. It forces us to ask, what really matters more? Fortune or feeling? Reputation or reality? Pride or love? It's a story that, at its heart, teaches us how to look past our own first impressions, to see the real person underneath. And you know what? That is a lesson that will simply never go out of style.